the Delaware, they blocked me from getting my license because of my criminal background, which was pretty confusing because I'm like, you telling me if I was in Philly and I end up getting locked up and getting sent upstate, I can get my barber license in jail, but I can't get my barber license out here in the streets? What sense does that make, you know? So I've been going strong these last couple of years, man. Without it, I gotta hop on it though, man. I got to, because the last thing that I want is for something to happen, you know.
Yeah.
But
that's frustrating because
it is.
So usually when you have a criminal background, you serve time.
Yes.
Or you've done whatever, you've paid your debt to society, you know, in quotes, to some degree.
For sure.
Because if not, you wouldn't be out here free on the streets unless you're running.
Right.
Why? I never understood why your past, after you've paid your debt to society, you still have to get castrized, you know, out as not a part of society. You know, the whole, if you got a felony, you can't vote.
Right.
Like all these things that we are entitled to as United States citizens, we have these rights, but because you broke the law and then you serve your time, you still don't get those rights. Not all of them back. I never understood that.
Right. Yeah, no, same here, man. And that's what I say all the time. Like, mind you, like, as I said, man, I've been getting in trouble since I was a kid, man. First case that I ever caught was at the age of 13, and it took for me to go through everything that I went through in order for me to change my life. And gladly, barbering school is something that changed my life completely, man, because previous to barbering school, when I enrolled in a barbering school, I was fresh out of jail for like 2 months. And I just knew that barbering school was something that I always wanted to do. So when I actually enrolled and my barber instructor actually taught me what he taught me, I'm like, yo, like, there's no looking back at all, you know, no looking back at all. So,
yeah, and like I said in the beginning of the podcast, a lot of people don't see the problems unless it directly affects them.
For sure.
And from being in Philly, especially North Philly,
yeah,
we see all of those problems. I had this conversation with TJ. You, like you said, you in the trenches. You see everybody's issues every single day, whether you're hearing it, you know, in your peripherals, whatever the case is. You want to become a part of the solution. Nobody wants to live in this drama-filled world the way, you know, every single day struggling and seeing people hurt. Like we want to be, well, people like you want to be a part of the solution, and that's one of the big things that I always like to talk about, you know.
Right, and I think for me, man, once again, like coming from the trenches, man, especially North Philadelphia, it's a different breed, man. It's a whole different breed. So, like, for me, honestly, like, my mom, she wasn't ever in my life. My mom been on drugs for 30 plus years. My dad, he was a functional addict. So he would get high, but he can uphold a job. But his spending habits was crazy. So, like, at a very young age, I always felt like I had to fend for myself, you know? So we used to go in and out of markets, stealing food. And, you know, back then I was into graffiti real heavy. And besides graffiti, like, it was just a lot, steal cars just for the fun of it and all of that stuff. And I'm just glad and grateful, man, that addiction is something that I never experienced. I smoked weed one time in my life. I had a YouTube how to roll up. Never smoked after that. I drunk one time in my life. I turned 18, threw up everywhere. Never drunk after that. And I'm just glad and grateful that addiction is something that I never dealt with personally, but my whole family has been something throughout my whole family, and it's destroyed it's just a lot, man.
Yeah, it's destroyed a lot of lives.
For sure. And
you can attest to just the people that you cut.
Yeah.
A lot of that has to do with addiction, you know, not everybody, but
yeah,
a lot of it. It's what are some of your, for lack of a better term, favorite stories that you've heard from some of these people? Like your favorite relationships that you've made throughout your time cutting haircuts.
So I could give you two. So I met this guy named Tony 4 years ago. He used to sleep on the corner of Kensington and Westmoreland. Tony used to sleep on a cardboard box. A year later, I saw Tony. Tony was sleeping in the back of a box truck. Tony was okay with that because he wasn't sleeping out on the streets anymore. He was sleeping in the back of a box truck, which I was still confused, but he was happy about that though. A year later, I saw Tony. Tony looked really good. When I mean, like, he almost walked by me without me even recognizing him because he gained so much weight. I saw Tony a couple of days ago, and Tony basically said he's doing way better than he ever did. He has an apartment now, and he has this thing called Rent for Life where the government or the city pays his rent for a couple of years. So this is a guy that I met when he was sleeping on a cardboard box to him actually having his own apartment. But even with his own apartment, Tony still tells me that he feels lonely. Tony feels lonely because he doesn't have no family. He doesn't have anyone. So it's just like, to know Tony from, sleeping here to him having his own apartment, that alone is just like, like I've been doing this for 4 or 5 years now. And the fact that I knew Tony since I started all of this is just like, and I gave Tony a haircut on numerous occasions, and every time Tony gets out of the chair, he feels like a whole brand new person. You feel me? So, that's just one, man. And
you see the progress, the growth.
Yeah, for sure. And another one, this really doesn't have anything to do with a haircut, but just communicating with individuals and just giving them a different perspective of life. Sometimes you can change someone's mindset, So 18 months ago, I'm driving on 95. I see this lady. She's walking on 95. And she's wrapped up in a blanket. It's pouring down, raining outside. And I pull over. But I pulled over because I knew that I was heading home to a warm bed. And I just couldn't just drive by this lady that was on 95 trying to walk to Ben Salem at 2 o'clock in the morning after I got off of Uber, after I got done working for Uber, which in all reality, trying to walk on 95 all the way to Ben Salem, that's nearly impossible. What happened was that she said she needed a ride to Ben Salem. I ended up telling her to get in the car. She was a female. I knew that she couldn't really do anything to really hurt me too bad. So me and her had a conversation. I told her what I do. A deep conversation. I ended up dropping her off in Ben Salem. A couple of months ago, about like 2 months ago, she reached out. This lady, she reaches out to me on Facebook, and she was like, do you remember dropping off a lady in Ben Salem that was walking 95 with a blanket and it was raining out? I said, yeah, I do remember. She said, that was me. And like, when I mean, like, I had to look at her profile picture because I'm like, yo, like, this lady is so beautiful. Like, this don't look like the same person. We got on a phone call, and basically she said that she's been clean for the last 17, 18 months now. She runs her own nonprofit organization called the Grace Project, and she goes down to where she used to get high at, and she gives back to them individuals. And for me, that's the power, because it's just like, so you tell me you go back to the community that you was once getting high at, and you're giving back to them same individuals. It's just like, wow, like, it's just a beautiful thing, man. So.
And for those who want to actually hear more details about the story, I don't know if there's more details or not, but you shared it on Instagram.
Yes.
And I seen that and I was like, whoa, that's the shit that give you goosebumps, you know?
For sure. Yep.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Just come full circle, helping people. I always say one act of kindness is like it can have the biggest ripple effects.
For sure.
And you change one person's life, and sometimes that's all they need is that one break.
Yes. And
that one break will get you going.
Yeah, for sure.
What kind of advice would you give to a kid or somebody who wants to follow in your footsteps, who sees what you're doing and they say, maybe it's not always haircuts, but because you're in the haircut industry,
Yeah. Honestly, I think whatever you do, just make sure that it's different. So let's just say, like, you want to start your own nonprofit organization, for example. make sure that whatever you're doing is just different from anyone else. Regardless, let's just say you want to do free haircuts for the homeless. That's cool as well, but just do it differently. You feel me? Like, put your own spin to it.
Make it you.
Yeah, make it you. Because the thing here is that at first you're going to have a lot of individuals that's not really going to believe in the vision. But after a while, trust and believe me, they definitely going to believe it, because that's something that I've been through, you know? And in order for you to get anyone to believe in you, you have to believe in yourself. So that's really it, you know, for sure.
What were some of, you know, talking about believing in yourself and the pushback from your family, what were some of the common myths or misconceptions or things that people were telling you, like, yo, this ain't gonna work, or, you know, what were some of the things, what was common things people would tell you because you wanted to do this for free, that they, you know, try to deter you from doing it because it's not a way to make a living?
Yeah, a lot of people. I got kids, so a lot of people will say, you know, you sitting here and you doing all of this free stuff, but in all reality, you got children that you got to worry about. Or a lot of bashing on social media. So a lot of people will sit here and say, if you're really doing this from the heart, why are you recording? Why do you have cameras? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? But in all reality, with nowadays, especially with social media and stuff like that, in order for you to push content, you got to record. You have to, you know, and as long as the person that's sitting in my chair that I'm cutting his hair or her hair, as long as they're okay with it, that's all that matters. You know, I get people to sign consent forms just to protect me and my brand and all of that good stuff. Besides that, everything else, honestly, it really doesn't bother me. You know, like, people will bash me on social media all day, every day. I'm okay with it, you know, because at the end of the day, like, I'm where I'm at today because I have a strong following of individuals that really love what I do, you know, and social media alone, man. Social media for me has been a huge blessing, man. A huge blessing. When I was just in Atlanta not too long ago, I was out there with Bow Wow's therapist. That's who I was out there with, and we was in the trenches. And social media, they actually, you know, this how I connect with people on a day-to-day basis. So, yeah.
I like that. You know, no matter what you're gonna do, you're gonna have people criticize you,
For sure.
and the whole, you know, today's day and age, you got, like you said, you got to record.
Yeah, you have to.
You have to. And when you watching, well, for me anyway, when I'm scrolling through Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or whatever the case is, and I'm looking and I see this guy who went and bought some fruit and some socks, and he sees one individual and he gives him, you know, free food, a little bit of cash, some socks, and he's got the phone in his face. That to me is not genuine the way it is when, like, you can tell, you know, for me anyway, I can tell when something's genuine and when somebody's just trying to flex.
Yeah, for sure.
And you didn't ask to be on my podcast, right? You know, like, through people that we know, they tell me the things that you're doing and I want to reach out. Yeah. You know, so it's not like you're doing it because you want to be famous. Right. And you want, you know, whatever the case is, some people, you know, will sell out and stuff, but you're genuinely doing these things because this is what you wanted to do. This is like a passion project that you're trying to turn into something that can sustain you and help others at the same time, you know?
Bro, I can't ever see myself doing anything else in life, man. I'll see myself doing this for the rest of my life. And it sounds crazy.
That's big.
Right. And it might sound crazy to a lot of people that's listening right now. You know what? So this guy's going to give free haircuts for the rest of his life. If I could give free haircuts for the rest of my life, honestly, and just focus on giving out free haircuts for the rest of my life, I'll do it. No hesitation at all. It's just I'm at a point right now where, as though I know that what I'm doing has to make sense financially, you know, and we gonna figure it out, man. We definitely gonna figure it out. Once again, we raised all of this money to convert the RV into the mobile barbershop super fast. We was not expecting to raise the money that fast, and it happened. So, like, it's just like now we just gotta sit back and actually just come up with a game plan, you know. And once again, it's not like I'm sitting down with individuals that, you know, that got degrees in finance or got degrees in business and stuff like that. I'm sitting down with people just like us, like, so it's just like we trying to figure this
regular
out.
people trying